Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome along to the Sea Live podcast. My name is Sam, and as always, it wouldn't be a Sea Live podcast if it didn't have my trusted friend, and he's also on the screen at the same time, Christopher Barnes. How you doing?
Hey, how are you, mate?
We're good, and we're also joined by special guest Paul Kappa. How you doing, Paul?
Oh, I'm really glad to be here, and I'm doing really good as well. Thanks for inviting me on.
Absolute pleasure. Now, behind you is a selection of fantastic guitars. I want you to, off the bat, pick your favorite one right now.
Oh, the favourite one I think I've
That's
got.
a good question. Is it not on there, Paul?
It's not here.
Ah,
I've got so many of them here, but it's no. I've been using one lately. I've been doing these live streams in the Cavern, and it's a really funny thing. I've had all these guitars for so long. I've got because I've been collecting them since I've been started playing really. So just naturally accrued a great number of guitars, and I've been sort of auditioning them on these live broadcasts, and I've sort of gone all through them, and I've gone, do you know what? I really, really like this one, and it's a black Gretsch, and it's called a Silver Falcon, even though it's black. I just don't understand that, but it's a big black Gretsch, and it used to belong to One Direction, and I thankfully relieved them of it.
what? It was one of the members' guitars.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I can only gather because obviously it came from eBay, and the guy was like, "Oh, this belonged to One Direction." I don't know whether he was a session guitar player for them when they went on tour, but there was a picture of them using it, and it's such a fancy looking guitar. It's probably a bit of a prop, really, because it just looked good. And but actually, it's really, really good.
Is it one of the hollow bodied ones?
Yeah, it's a great big hollow body Gretsch, and it's like a really big guitar as well, sort of 17 inches across. It's but it just, there's something about it that I've really taken to, and it just, I don't know. So I've got all these guitars here that probably aren't as good as that one.
How many do you own? How many do you own, Paul?
The simple answer is too many. It's because I'm like one of these people who's like buried alive, in the hoarders programs where you see the people, actually as being surrounded by their own stuff that they've collected that they can't bear to get rid of, and I'm like that with guitars. I think they're just going to close in on me any minute. But I do love them. I love guitars. I like that. I thought they call me children, like saying, which one's your favourite child?
Not the first.
Possibly.
But I think I know what you feel. I think in my collection, because you collect them over the years, I think I've got 23 now.
Yeah, that's a good number. It's a
I
Jamie
think 23
number.
And I think there needs to be a 24 coming soon. Well, let's see.
Should always be another one coming soon.
Let's get going. I spoke to this fellow once who said he started buying all different guitars, but the same colours. So his wife didn't know he was buying new guitars.
It's crafty, that, isn't it?
Very crafty.
I forget what colour it was. It was probably pink or something. But he started buying all the same colours just to stop his wife giving him grief. It's a good plan, really. It's a good idea. Yeah, we've all snuck guitars in the house once or twice in our lives. Absolutely, just especially in the case. Oh, it's not in this one. Just straight up in the loft. I saw you at the car show in Aintree a couple of years ago. You were doing a set with the Cavern, and that weekend in Aintree is just a mass of noise, isn't it? It's just the biggest riff-based room you've ever likely to walk in your life.
Yeah. It's
like,
they say creativity comes out of chaos, but that's just chaos.
Oh no, there's
Wall to
creativity there. It's just like this goes up to 10, this one goes up to 11, and it's just like, right. And you always hear in the faint background there, "Stairway to Heaven" intro, and you're like, "Oh, here we go." And it just reminds you of Wayne's World. No, "Stairway to Heaven."
I know. I do play that tune quite often myself, and it always goes through my head. I shouldn't be doing it, but I don't know. Someone's got to do it. Someone's got to.
What a solo, though. What a solo
Yeah,
at the end.
absolutely. Yeah, on a Fender Telecaster that as well. You know, he said he was just looking for the sound, and he just pulled out the old Telecaster that he had with the Yardbirds and went for it. And yeah, you know, it's you think it's all so carefully constructed, but and it is in a way. But it's just that when you come to do the business with the solo, you think, oh, I've got to do something iconic, and it's usually just a complete mess. For that, I mean, this is the genius of the man.
Did he play that solo on it? I didn't know he played it on a Telecaster. Did he? Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
Jimmy Page. He pulled out the Telecaster and just nailed it. And you know, you always think, oh, it's a Les Paul or something, but no.
Yeah, because of the tone of it is so heavy. Oh
Yeah,
wow, you have surprised me there.
probably would have used you know, maybe one of the old Supro amps that he had, you know, that he used on Led Zeppelin 1, and you know, they use that with a fuzz box. But this particular solo, I don't know what he did. I mean, you see him using Vox Super Beetle amps, you know, for a whole lot of love with a Les Paul and a you know, a wah pedal right down on full treble, and just a great sound, you know. He always just got great sound, very thin, you know, not that accurate playing, but it always really good.
So yeah, we all know in Liverpool the Kappa Band, the Amazing Kappa Band, and the amount of shows you've done. But where did your obsession start? Where did your love for guitars first start?
Well, I mean, literally with the Beatles, I think I was a very small child. My mum and dad had a record player in the garage. It wasn't even in the house; it was in the garage, and all the records were there. It's like a den for the kids, but there wasn't one in the house. So I go into the garage and figured out how to use the record player, which was quite a feat of switches and things to pull, and because they're very mechanical, And I just got one record and I put it on. It happened to be Hard Day's Night, and I remember listening to it and just being absolutely blown away by all the guitar sounds and stuff like that. Probably didn't understand what it was, but later on it came to me, to really understand how important that the guitar was in the sound of the Beatles records, and also the harmonies as well. I think that the song I liked the most was If I Fell, which I think is probably the third track in on the first side. Just the very simple but effective double harmony. Just couldn't get over it, and then graduated through to eventually listen to Led Zeppelin by the time I was about 8. So that's the first album that I bought was Led Zeppelin 3, and I really liked the acoustic side of it. I didn't really like the heavy stuff then. I just really liked the acoustic other side, Tangerine, and That's the Way, those kind of tunes. And by the time I was about 10, I got an acoustic guitar for Christmas, and I found that I could play it. I was just naturally good at it. It was, like I just took to it, and my hands felt in the right place, and I was just, straight away on it. Except for playing F, because no one can play F.
Yeah, no, that's a tricky chord, very tricky chord.
But aside from that, I just had a natural thing for it, and because I was so bad at football, and it's like in primary school, if you're the last one to get chosen to be in a team. So that was like me. So when I got the guitar and I was good at it, it was like, nice, I'm made up. Something I'm good at. So I just stuck with that, and I just loved it.
And then, did you have lessons, or did you teach yourself? What was the format?
Well, both. I mean, the information was hard to get. Like now, it's you can go on YouTube and look at sort of 50 guys showing you how to play one particular thing, and they might have like 10 different variants on it, but most of them will be saying, look, this is how it's done, it's nailed on, this is how you play things. There was no way you could do that then. You just had to get a record player and take the needle and go backwards and forwards and destroy the record, listening to it over and over again. The part, just trying to pick it off and play it. And sometimes you'd even like slow it down. This probably to a very young generation now wouldn't mean anything, but 33 revolutions, that was a vinyl played at that, and some record players went down to 16, which was half speed, so you could turn it down to half speed, which was boom, boom. You try and work out what the notes were like that. So some mad things like that. But yeah, that was how we learned. But I did when I was about 13, I had a chemistry teacher in school who was very good at jazz, and he offered to teach me some stuff. And his name was Trevor Williams, and he was a really, really wonderful jazz guitar player. But I wanted to learn how to play like Hendrix and Page and stuff, and he was showing me like Satin Doll by Duke Ellington, and I was like, I don't know that. What's this, you know? But, you know, and a Girl from Ipanema, you know, I'm going, oh, for Christ's sake. But to learn that, I mean, I didn't want to learn it, but actually it did me more good than I could have ever have possibly imagined. And then, you know, after a few weeks of picking up the jazz stuff, I started to go, oh, right, you know, all kind of stuff made sense, because I was at the time listening to, like, say, the Stray Cats with Brian Setzer, you know, like rockabilly sort of revisionist stuff that he was doing. But it was all full of jazz chords, and I was, oh, listen to that. Oh, yeah, that's what he's doing. Oh, I see now. And everything started slotting into place for me. So, you know, sometimes things that you don't want do you a lot of good, you know.
Yeah, I always say, if you can work most things out. When I show the kids how to, from getting the basic chord idea, you'll find that the tunes develop from the chords. So once you get your head around the chord, just figure it out. It's there. You've just got to visually. When you were growing up, and I've always said it, when you listen to a riff, you think, oh, that's so easy. That is why didn't I write that? Why did I discover that? Why do you know what I mean? Whole lot of love. Why it's so easy. Why didn't I find it?
I think like Smoke on the Water. And you're like, oh yeah, I can do that. But that's the beauty of the simplicity. That's something you've really got to aim for. Something really, really simple. It works. That's, you know, you could argue that was the same for rock riffs, but you could just take it back to Beethoven and go da 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 da, and you're in the same territory. It's just that's how simple it is. But so hard to do that.
Well, if only Beethoven had a rock keyboard, he'd have been. The world would be in a different place.
No, he had a Baroque keyboard, I think he had.
On the floor.
Did he come?
Just see what would.
Did he come slightly after? Yeah.
Who knows? But it's a part of the revolution of music at some point. So, who was your apart from Zeppelin, the rock stuff? Who else were you influenced by growing up?
Well, I mentioned Brian Setzer there because he I mean, aside from all the other records, because I used to listen to anything that was in the house, so that things that my mum and dad had, where I'd listen to Johnny Cash, and didn't particularly like Johnny Cash, but later on, a lot of these things that I listened to when I was young sort of came back like a sort of musical boomerang and hit me. So I wound up, you know, doing a lot of rockabilly and country stuff, and I was quite well versed in it when it came round for me to do that. So, you know, I'd be listening to Rick Nelson records, and I'd be listening to James Burton playing, you know, solos like, you know, Hello Mary Lou, or, you know, and so really early Telecaster players like James Burton, you know, figured. And later on, when we started to become like a working band, because we spent a lot of the 80s trying to be an original band, and that obviously it's a difficult path to walk. And so we had a situation where I basically had to go out and try and earn some money. A mate of mine said, we can go out on the weekend and play in social clubs and we'll get paid for it. And I said, well, what do we have to do? He said, I'll ask me mum. And he came back and he said, she said Elvis. And I said, oh Christ, no, Elvis, really? Because you know, again, it was just like, to me, that was, you know, Elvis, Las Vegas kind of Elvis was, you know, something my mum liked, and it wasn't cool. But so I said, well, that's easy, isn't it? It's like what we said before, you know, what you were saying. So I went and listened to the records, and I was going, right, there was three chord records, all those, you know, just like, you know, Blue Suede Shoes and Jailhouse Rock. I mean, how difficult can it be? And I started listening to all the guitar parts, and I was like, I can't play any of that. Scotty Moore, and I realised that I was like, you know, I was just big-headed. I thought because if it wasn't in some funny timing or something, you know, mad, that it was difficult to play. And I started to listen to this, and I realised that obviously Scotty Moore was sort of like a not very good version of Chet Atkins, you know, and Chet Atkins is about as complicated as you can get if you're a guitar player, or Merle Travers. Some of these guys, the old guys who could play they play one part with a thumb and play another tune with their other two fingers, and you know, you start trying to do it and you're like, oh god, I'm just so out of my depth. And then I realised that I was just like, I had a lot to learn, and I just had to start learning it. So I really picked up from all kind of places after that, and realised I had to just try and listen to everything and learn everything as much as I could.
And obviously, you've took that on further to the next phase of your career, really, with Kappa. And is there any particular tracks that you just love to play with in the band?
Oh, well, original tracks or covers? I mean, the thing about
covers.
Well, I get a big kick out of playing Led Zeppelin tracks because I started off learning them. That was what I stood in front of the mirror with an Oni Messon Les Paul copy, trying to give it the moves. That's what made me. So when I'm doing it now, I kind of I used to go to watch in the cinema the Led Zeppelin film, which is I think it's an awful film now if I look at it as a grown-up person, but I used to go and watch it, and it was like just a big screen of seeing, and obviously it was quite loud in the cinema, so you'd hear the basically Led Zeppelin playing live and watch them doing it, and that used to be such a thing. So the sort of like the inner 12-year-old in myself, when I'm playing Led Zeppelin tunes on stage and it sounds like them, is kind of going, yeah, listen to that, whoa, it kind of just, I don't know, I'm just like that with the Zeppelin stuff, and to a certain extent the Hendrix. But then I'll do I don't know, like a jazz standard, because I can play all those chords, as I was saying before. I learned those by accident, and I'll do one of those jazz standards, like when I fall in love, and I'll be listening to the chords going, oh, this is lovely, this, isn't it? And all the songs that I do, I really like them, because I'm not a fan of Brown Eyed Girl, so I don't do it. Even though you get asked for it 12 times a night, I won't do it.
A few times.
Sam, we've all got a few songs we don't like to do, Sam, but you do it, don't you?
You got to. You've got to please an audience, but I know what you mean with Brown Eyed Girl. I think, Chris, yours is Streetcar Line. And mine is 500 miles, because I go Scottish every time I sing that. And I don't try to. It's the thing. I don't try to sound Scottish. I just end up being Scottish for that 3-minute song. So they're two songs that when you just play them, people just love them.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And I mean, it's a funny thing. I've tried to survive by not doing any of them. And I do get asked, and it's the same. If you do it long enough, you go through eras. People the last era was Mr. Brightside. That was the most commonly thing, and before that, it was like Sex on Fire. You get asked for all the time, and you just go through the eras where people just demand these particular songs, and I still haven't played any Oasis. I don't know. Or Pink Floyd, for that matter. I don't like them either.
Well, you say that with Floyd. I'm hit and miss with Floyd. As people really, I'm hit and miss with Floyd. Do you know what I mean? There's something about them that, obviously, Dark Side of the Moon, we've all heard it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But when you start listening to, what's the one with all the animals? Is it called Animals?
You're asking the wrong person.
Oh, well, and it's just like, I struggle with it, to be honest with you. But they've sold millions of records. It got too extreme for me, if I'm honest with you.
I had all these mates who lived in a house together, when we were like 18 or 19, and they were all like, smoking stuff and saying, come and listen to, with like all dark drapes on all the curtains, like all out of the day, so the house had never had any light in it. And they'd like, so listen to this, man. And they'd be going, oh, listen, can you hear the things within the things within the things? And, in the dimensions of that, listen to the... And I'm going, no.
This, it's called Immigrant Song. Well, that's the thing with something like Zeppelin. There's no in. It's just like, right, here's full on John Bonham, master class of drums as well. So it is what it is.
Yeah, they were a very, very good band. All of the component parts. Sometimes you can just listen to Led Zeppelin. Like you could listen to the Lemon Song of Led Zeppelin too, which I do, and just do nothing but listen to the bass playing. and just it's like, wow, just, let's have that again, just the bass bit, and you're like, it's just amazing that the playing of each one of them is just a lot to listen to. Yeah,
I was fine with Led Zeppelin, like not on par with but Beatles, where it was just four different individuals came together. It kind of was that for Zeppelin, though, wasn't it? It was an unbelievable drummer, unbelievable guitarist, singer who's just like unbelievable, and the John Paul Jones just like an unbelievable bass player. So it came together at the right time, and he had like a jet, and must have been a great life.
Yeah, no, they needed each other though, and they were right. They were right to quit when they did, I think, as well, because they'd done it all, and I think, to be honest, after 75 they were starting to go down the slope of the other side. But who knows? But yeah, I mean that's a great thing. If you have a band where the whole is greater than the sum parts, it's that's a really, really good feeling. It doesn't happen very often though. It's like it's if you get it and it's rare, you try and hang on to it.
So Kappa Band, has it had different members through the years, has it, or have you?
Yeah.
How's it work?
Well, I'll give a brief explanation. I was 6 years in a band called Cat Scratch Fever, we had a record deal, and we played Glastonbury, and we did a lot of stuff. And then I had a little period with Pete Wiley after that one, where we were signed to Columbia Records via Sony on a really big deal, and I got to see a lot of the industry. When I'd left Cat Scratch Fever, the band carried on without me using the name, and I found myself unable to work, because I'd phone people up and say, "Oh, I'm from Cat Scratch Fever," and they go, "Oh yeah, well, we booked them," and
right.
and I'd go, "Yeah, but I was," and so I decided. So I thought, I'm going to start a band of my own, and I'm going to call it Kappa of some description, because it's my name, and that way, if anybody leaves the band, they can go, but I can stay, because there's no arguments about whose band it is. It's my name on it, and I suppose I was a bit bloody minded, and we had it all. Had it all kind of things. It was Kappa and the Angel Dust, and then it was just Kappa. Then it was a friend of mine said, he printed some leaflets for me saying, "You are witnessing the Amazing Kappa," and I thought that was hilarious. I thought it was like some sort of Victorian musical act. Like Mr. Memory or something like that, the Amazing Kappa. So I thought, yeah, we'll call ourselves that for, and then people were saying, "Oh, you think you're amazing, do you?" And I was going, "No, it's not." So we thought we'll go back to Kappa, but then Kappa was a tracksuit, so we thought,
you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't.
So in the end, it was like AKB, because that's like Amazing Kappa Band, and you're just trying to, but after a point, everybody knows you, so I suppose Kappa or whatever. It's, people only ever call me Kappa anyway. So I remember being in the original band, and we couldn't think of a name, and the bass player said, "Well, just call it Kappa's Band, because that's what everybody calls us anyway." And in a way, it's just that's what's happened. So I don't know, but yeah, the thing about it was. That's why I called it, Kappa, and I've had a lot of musicians come and go from it, lots of bass players and drummers, come and gone, as it just happens. But it's having a continuity with it means every time somebody leaves the band, you don't have to break it up and start again and start, have a new name and a new concept, and it's too difficult. And when your bookings go on year and year, and the people who follow you like to come and see you, they like to know what you're called, and so you just need to have something consistent, and that way. With my name on it, there's no arguments about anything. It's just, if you leave the band, then you do something else, and I'm staying here. So,
and obviously there's things opening up now. We were talking Sam and I are getting a few bookings in with our band. And how are you finding it? Are things slowly coming in?
Well, very, very few and far between actually at the moment. I think people are really still nervous. It's like. Everybody wants to open up and say, well, say by May the 17th or June the 21st or something like that. And, stuff could happen. I think everyone's really, really nervous because it's so unpredictable, as it has been. I mean, none of us ever thought we'd ever be in this situation, You know, no one foresaw this or the way it is, or even that it would go as long as it has already. And I think originally I thought, yeah, this is a bit weird and it's going to last for about 3 months, and by about June or July or August of last year, we'd all be back out and back together. And for a little while, it was started to happen, and then it's all off again. And you know, we've had another, you know, we've gone through this for a year now, basically. So I think people are nervous about whether to book the acts and whether they can put these events on, and then some of them are concerned about the capacity that they'll have and whether they could make any money if they did. You know, because it could be, you know, these rule of 6 things with capacity means that you're down in some cases you're 33% capacity maximum. You know, so that you pay a band whatever you're going to pay them. It's just difficult for the you know, for the venue owners, I think.
And what's the obviously you've been doing the Cavern streams. What's been happening with that? Tell us about the Cavern stream.
Well, the Cavern was closed for a long time, and that was obviously I'd had residency in the Cavern Pub since 2002, and that been the mainstay of my gigging world, really, because it's very successful, you know, in the sense of, you know, it was always full, and most successful thing I'd done really to have that residency there. And as it disappeared, I mean, I was like everybody else in last March, you know, a year ago, kind of like picking up my phone and going, right, Facebook Live, what's that mean? Let's have a look. And you know, I just put it on. I thought I'll start there get the guitar and start playing. And of course, the phone fell over, and it was all chaos. And I had to learn this idea of streaming, which is in a sense what we're all doing now, talking to each other. We're broadcasters. We've had to learn to become broadcasters, which I think is what we've done. And so I took it a few steps further. I just started getting multi cameras and you know, equipment to, you know, mix that and mix the audio and the video, and the idea that we could stream almost like, you know, like as a TV show. And when it came to it, the Cavern needed they went into a further lockdown, and so they couldn't do live shows. So they said to me, well, could you do, you know, the stream? And I said, well, I can. So that's what I've actually been doing that since November now. So it's really odd because it's been 7 days a week. It's, you know, 8 days a week, I should say, shouldn't I, for the Cavern? Hey, smooth that, wasn't it? No, but it's it's 10 hours a day, 7 days a week, and so I mean, I've got a day off today, and I've got a day off on Tuesday, and that's all I'm doing. And I get to perform on it myself 5 times a week, and it's just been an absolute lifesaver for me to do that.
Yeah.
And it's been funded by the Arts Council as well, because I mean the Cavern's quite a big concern. You know, it's a big tourist attraction as well. It's probably, I think it's bigger than Westminster Abbey or something like that. You know.
Wow. But obviously it will come back, and you've got this new sort of angle that you can do things now. So it's as Sam came up with the concept for the podcast.
Yeah.
It's kind of reusing your skills in a different way now. So hopefully this streaming stuff you can take on for the next level, even when things are open.
Well, you saw the infamous advert saying, you know, right, retrain now, and I thought, yeah, already done it.
Yeah,
but you know, in a useful way.
Actually, that's a good, very useful way. I mean, I didn't have a clue about, you know, putting up a Zoom call or Skype calls or anything like that to do with Facebook Live or Instagram Live. You know, I've got Instagram, I've got them all. You know, I'll scroll through timelines and like photos of my cousin's dog. You know what I mean? But that's you know what I mean? I don't know. So to be fair, that's a great way of putting it. I mean, I think everyone's come on leaps and bounds, you know, especially my nan, who can finally do a FaceTime now.
Oh, she done it FaceTime? Yeah.
You can do it.
Fantastic.
She just Siri and then says FaceTime me, and then there you go. Off she goes. So
no, but that's true. I think all the older generation are getting onto FaceTime, because when the first lockdown came, I had FaceTime my mum and all could see was her forehead. Do you know what I mean? While she was, so, and now I can see her face while she's doing it. I still have not become computer literate though, Sam. We know this is a problem.
A very big problem. So, he's learning. You're doing your best. You're doing your best. So obviously the Cavern. and the live stream, and it's just amazing to be in there, and obviously to be surrounded with sort of the wealth of, you know, the Beatles, you know, in its entirety. A question for you would be, sorry, go
yeah,
on.
so no, I was just going to say it really is. But the funny thing is, I'm in there often completely alone, the only person in the building, you know, and I'm there performing to the walls. And there's a virtual audience there, but I'm basically in the cavern. It's the freakiest thing, being in the cavern on your own, playing to a completely empty room with just two TV screens with the, you know, the messages from the, you know, the social media, the people who are watching you on the Facebook or whatever, responding to you. And that, if you know, if there wasn't that, there'd be absolutely nothing. You'd be standing like, and it's almost like a crazy thing to do. And then, you know, I'll lock up and I'll walk out onto Matthew Street on a Saturday night at midnight. There'll be not a soul in the city. You know, it's just, you know, really eerie Matthew Street, like, you know, with a bit of fog hanging, like it's sort of like a proper horror picture that you're watching. It's been odd times.
That must be really crazy, because your career has been down that street. Do you know what I mean? And it's gone from, you've seen everything probably on that street over the years, to absolutely nothing. It's just weird.
Yeah, it's a really, really strange environment to work in, especially when we've been used to, as you say, you've been used to, you know, really mad scenes with, you know, all descriptions, you know, good and bad. You know, you see all kinds of stuff, and you know, but that's like the whole city is just silent and empty. So yeah, it's a really odd time, but you know, hopefully we'll look back at it for the, you know, for the positives, and not for just the straight weirdness of it. You know?
I think we will. I think in the future it'll be looked on, you know, as a period of time where people came together, rather than a period of loneliness. I feel like I speak to, you know, extended members of my family more than what I did beforehand. I feel like I'm closer to them, even though I'm probably being, you know, far away from them for the longest period of time. It's just one of those I was there moments.
I quite like that. I quite like that. Like, artists now from Liverpool and all over the country are all talking, and they're all connecting like this, and we're interested in what other people are doing, and you'd never take an interest in another artist until now. I like that.
I think it's because you didn't have time. You've been forced to make the time now. You've been forced to have, you know, because you've got the time, because you're not going out and doing the plethora of things that you've got to do in your life. That, you know, a lot of time's been spent at home, a lot of reflective time. So I think you're right. The communication element of it's gone up. You know.
Yeah. And we're all in the same boat. We've all just been like shoved under the bus as artists, and kind of just left to cope. Do you know what I mean? And I think it's been nice to talk to individual artists. I know Scott Beckett does stuff with us, and he's been doing the Cavern stuff, and he's really excited about the new stuff he's wrote, and it's great. I think it's really great that Liverpool musicians. And we've done this all over the world now, haven't we, Sam? And everyone's in the same boat.
Yep.
Literally.
So with all that time on your hands, you must have had a lot of, you know, writing sessions at home or wherever you write.
Strangely, for the whole of last year, I felt unable to write anything, and I've been quite a prolific writer generally, but last year it just drew blank for me, and I couldn't really understand why until the very end of the year. And I was getting some time where I was I would do a Radio Merseyside interview every Tuesday night around about midnight. As something I started doing during the lockdown. I got asked to do it, and I initially started doing old classic songs, just acoustic versions. I just phone them up, you know, kind of thing, and do a classic song down the phone. And then one day I just had nothing to play for them, and I was sitting in the cavern, and I started writing, and I thought, oh my God, I'm writing again. I started writing this song, and it was strange because it was like I'm surrounded every day by Beatles songs, I suppose. You know, because a lot of the artists, especially on the Cavern, do lots of versions of Beatles songs, and so I suppose I was just getting like, you know, dipped in that heavily, and I don't know whether it had, you know, any influence on it, but I just started writing, and I remember going on the radio that night and said, I've just written this and playing it for them, and thinking, oh, that's good, isn't it? I've done something creative, and I've been on, you know, like the Merseyside radio broadcaster, and played it within the hour of writing it. So I was really quite pleased with myself. I've started writing since then. It sort of spurred me to carry on. So yeah, quite pleased about that.
And you can you play us anything tonight?
Yeah, of course. I've been. I have a guitar here.
Hey.
Oh, one of many.
Listen to that chord. Hey, good that, isn't it?
Name that shooting one.
40 years of playing to get that, you know. Yeah, so I've got a few songs lately, but one of them's called I Come Running to You. What do I do when I'm feeling lonely? What do I do when I'm feeling blue? What do I do when I get to feeling only you will do? What do I do? I come running to you, running to you. Oh. What do I do when I'm downhearted? What do I do when I've not a clue? Oh, what do I do when World War III gets started, man? It's surely overdue. Oh, what do I do? I come running to you, running to you. Oh, running to you. Time we thought we'd never see on dark highways of uncertainty. Who can I rely on, baby? No, it's only you and me. Only you and me. Oh, oh, oh. What do I do when I'm celebrating? What do I do when it all comes true? What do I do when I'm exhilarating till the morning dew? What do I do? What do I do? I come running to you, running to you. Oh, oh, oh.
Hey, fantastic.
Thank you very much.
Fantastic.
Thank you very much. Now I'm going to do Brown Eyed Girl.
Oh, fantastic. And was that the song that you wrote?
No, it was that was like the B-side. You know, when you write, no, I wrote a song called Madame Butterfly, which it's actually proved to be quite popular, but I've played it so much lately, so I thought I'd do the other one that I wrote pretty much you know, at the same time, and I thought one of them was slightly more upbeat, you know. Fantastic. I don't want to depress anybody.
I mean, to be fair, I do like a depressing song. Like, I'm that weirdo.
Oh, you must like the Floyd.
He's into the Floyd.
I wasn't going to say that. I wasn't going to say it. What, with you closing your eyes while you're playing, are you thinking about anything, or reminiscing about anything when you're singing that song?
No, I'm just terrified.
Fair play. Fair play. Like little things that maybe create the picture in your head for the song, or the chord, or is it literally just I'm playing the song now?
I can't think like that, because if I think, oh, what shall I have for tea, something like that tomorrow, that's it. I've gone. My head's fell off.
I probably wasn't really aware that I had my eyes closed. I suppose you don't think about it, just sort of do it, and you might be right about what you're tapping into, but it's one of the things about doing these streams. You find that I was got a screen in front of me, and I could read the comments, and I was actually playing that song, and somebody started writing the words to it out. Like I come running to you, and the lyrics was like appearing in the comment box. But because the comments are actually there's a delay, so you get like maybe a 10-15 second delay before the comments come through. So you might do something, and these comments started coming up, and I started reading them as the lyrics. So I started singing the wrong words to the wrong bit, and I was like, damn. It's just like put it in my head, and I thought, you start to read things, but the actually delay is I didn't realize there was a delay for a long time. So I was on Facebook, and I was trying to be funny. I was trying to say something funny, and it'd be like
and then 10 seconds later
nothing. I thought, oh Christ, that's gone down terrible. So that wasn't funny. And then so I'd move on, and then 10 seconds later, but all you see all these laughing emojis, and I'd be thinking, what did I just do? What was funny about that? And I couldn't work it out. And then I realized there was a big delay, and I thought, oh yeah, no, you did get a laugh. You just, and you imagine being a comedian and having to wait 15 seconds to get your laugh. I can't think of anything worse than that.
Like, but they maybe do stream comedy shows, if they have. Oh my god.
No. Well, it's happened, hasn't it? It's definitely happened, but yeah, that's a bit of a stretch. That 15 seconds, no.
No, you'd let it go. You wouldn't know where you were.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a good reason for closing your eyes. To just like do what you're doing and try not to see, and then look up. About 30 seconds later, see if anything's happened, and see whether you were funny or whether anybody liked your song. Or
what's the plan for the Kappa Band then going forward? What's your aims then going forward?
Well, we had a setback because I had the two members of the band for about 8 years. I had Maria, who was a bass player, fantastic bass player, and I had Laura playing the drums. And Laura decided to leave, I think probably about 6 months ago now. I can't even remember when it was, but she left, and because she'd been in the band for maybe a decade, that meant that whoever came in would have to learn an awful lot of original material for a start, So that was that's been quite a challenge, because when you've got a band that's 8 years into it, you've got quite a lot of material together, and that you can pick and choose from on the gigs. So I suppose that was a setback, but I suppose the good side of the setback is it came at a time when it wasn't going to really disrupt anything. So the thing I've got to do now is to get some gigs in, and to get a good run of gigs, and then really start to put the band together, because that's kind of like on hold. But I got Charlie Skeggs in to play drums, and Charlie's he's been aside from being a great musician in the various bands he's been in and is still in. He was a manager at the Cavern Pub, so he'd been watching us play for a long time, so he knew a lot of the stuff, and he's a great drummer. He can also play the guitar and sing, so that was a bit of a no-brainer. So after this lockdown, and if the gigs come back and everything, really looking forward to putting something new together. And I've got, by now I've got about 10 new songs or something like that, that being one of them, and some other stuff. So I feel like I've got a lot to look forward to right in front of me. But I'm like anybody, I'm nervous about what I'm going to go back to and how I'm going to do it, and is it going to work? But I think that's probably a good place to be in, really, to be not just certain of everything, and that way you're not complacent. You're just thinking, right, I've got everything to prove again now. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that.
I think we're all looking forward to that kind of nervous energy to perform.
Yeah.
And I think it'll get us there. And obviously, you've got your brick on the Cavern wall. You must be proud of that.
You know, if you haven't got a brick on the Cavern wall, you're nobody.
We're still working. We're still working on ours, Sam. We're working on ours. We'll just go and knock Kappas out and put ours in.
They're not even bricks, you know. The little I don't know what they're made of. The facades. They're easy to get off.
Thing is, I work just off Matthew Street, so you never know.
Get your hammer.
We are coming to the end of this podcast, gentlemen. But one thing I've noticed, mentioned at the top of the podcast, those fantastic guitars. There's a little tiny scarf there in the background as well. And there's a time of recording. Liverpool are about to play Chelsea. Obviously, the season is the season. But score predictions for tonight, and where do you think we'll finish in the table?
Oh, I don't know. I think we'll be lucky to make top 4 now. I really do, because it seems to be, the unraveling. It'd be some kind of the team seems a little bit tired somehow. It's like just everything's gone. And losing Virgil was maybe a bigger blow than any of us realised. I mean, it didn't. Not that it wasn't going to be a big blow, but I think it's been bigger. But then the front lads are not firing on all cylinders. And predicting tonight, I can't stand another loss at Anfield. Oh God, it's got to be 2-0 to us. It's got to be. Otherwise, I'm just gonna. I don't know. What will I do? I have to drive down there and shout at them.
Turn it and get your PA out. Just like,
stop playing some songs. Just start playing. Brilliant. Absolutely fantastic. Go on, Chris.
And where can people find you, Paul? Where can people find you?
Well, at the moment, you can log on to the on the Facebook of the Cavern Club website, or it's not the website, but the social media of the Cavern, YouTube, and I'm playing a few times a week on live streams, and because I used to do them mostly from home, pretty much like this, or in the bathroom where they have the best acoustic, but since November, I've been doing this the Cavern thing, so that's the most place you can catch me at the moment.
And we look to see you out on the road again.
Absolutely, and it's fantastic. It is fantastic what you're doing with the Cavern, and it's a great little live stream for people to tune in of an evening and be entertained. When was the last time you've been entertained properly? Even if it is through a computer screen or an iPhone screen, and some fantastic acts as well that probably are gonna go on as well to perform around the city centre in the northwest and beyond as well. So Paul, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us this evening. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Absolutely my pleasure as well. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Cheers, Paul. Thanks, mate.
Chris, another edition of the Sea Life podcast.
We're getting close to the birthday.
Big birthday in a few weeks. We'll be turning a whole 1. So make sure you stay tuned for our very special birthday podcast. Very special guest. Chris was bricking it, let's just say.
Yeah, I was.
Just a bit. In the meantime, folks, stay safe out there, and we shall see you for another edition of the Sea Live podcast. In the meantime, stay safe. Bye-bye.